If a potential client has ever looked at you after a conversation about price and said, "Gosh, I need to think about it," or worse, just ghosted you after you sent the proposal, I think our first instinct as business owners is to think it's a problem with our pricing. But that is not always the case. In fact, in my experience, most of the time it's a value problem, and it shows up in more ways than people realize. It's in how you actually understand your audience and what they're looking for. It's in the experience you're creating around your offer. It's in how you're positioned in the market. And yes, it's also in how you're communicating all of that. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do that so that the right clients say yes without you having to justify every single dollar. Before we dive in, I'm Victory. I'm a marketing strategist and the founder of Audaciously, a digital marketing agency where I've spent almost a decade now helping service businesses stop the marketing chaos and build strategy-first marketing that actually works. So let's start with the thing I see happening constantly in the business world. A lot of business owners think that in order to be competitive, they have to be the cheapest. And I get it. When you're first starting out or when you're trying to win a client, it feels like the natural thing to do in the beginning. But here's what actually happens when you do that. You begin the race to the bottom. When you compete on price, you attract clients who are shopping for the lowest price. And on top of all of that, it's been my experience that the clients who tend to pay the least tend to eat up the majority of your time. The inner critic is the voice inside that tells us that we're frauds, to doubt ourselves, to fear that prospect saying no. All of that to say, pricing is deeply tied to how we see our own worth. Because the truth is, not charging what you're worth is a disservice. Okay, so now that we've established why competing on price is a losing game, let's talk about what to do instead. And it starts with something that most service providers skip entirely. Actually understanding who your audience is and what transformation they're looking for. The biggest tip that I can give to anyone who's trying to better understand their audience or prospect is to conduct customer development interviews. I call them CDIs for short. You let them know up front that you are not trying to sell them anything. In that conversation, you're simply going to ask questions to understand the root of what they actually need. I do have a free guide on how to plan, ask for, and hold a CDI on our website. I'll include that link below in the description. If somebody asks you what you do and you say, "Oh, I remodel kitchens. I do bookkeeping. I organize closets." Those are tasks, and tasks feel like line items. Line items get compared and negotiated. If you're in the B2B world, they even get compared to what an in-house employee would cost to get it done. But when you talk about the outcome, the transformation on the other side of working with you, that's when everything shifts in the conversation. Instead of, "Oh, I manage business books," what if you said, "I help business owners make better decisions for their business by making sure that they always understand where their money is going with strategic bookkeeping and accounting services." Feel the difference? One is a task. The other is a result that someone actually wants. The advice that I always give is to talk to folks who are in need of your service and keep asking why they feel like they need the service until you get to the root cause. In the Six Sigma training, they call it the 5 whys because it teaches you that you typically need to keep asking why 5 times before you get to the root cause. So it would look something like this. Someone mentions they need bookkeeping services. You ask them, why do they feel they need bookkeeping services? When they respond, you ask them why they feel that is the case, and so on for 5 rounds until you've gotten to the deepest layer of why this is important for their business or life. Ultimately, the 5 layers will uncover the root cause or desired outcome they're looking to have transformed by your service. Now let's talk about the actual offer itself, because how you talk about your services is only part of the equation. The other part is making sure your offer actually delivers more value than you're charging. This isn't adding a bunch of random bonuses. It's about being intentional about the full experience of working with you and your company. Think about it from your client's perspective. The moment they say yes to working with you, what happens? What does that experience feel like? Think through the experience of working with your company. What does your onboarding look like? Is it smooth, clear, and reassuring? Or does it feel like they just handed over money and now they're just waiting to hear from you and left wondering what happens next? For example, if someone is going to get their oil changed in their car, someone would redirect you where to park and immediately come and greet you. How much better would it be if they had a bottle of cold water in hand on a warm summer day? You're instantly receiving additional value. Next, ask yourself, what are the perks of working with you specifically? Your communication style, your responsiveness, your expertise, your network. Do you only check the one thing that you were hired for, or do you add value in other ways? As someone is getting their oil changed, the shop vacuums out their car without charging more. How does this increase the value for the customer? Well, now they feel like they've pressed the reset button on their whole vehicle. Next, ask yourself, what puts you leaps and bounds above the competition? In what ways is the understanding of the transformation that your clients are looking for helping you better serve them? Is the person getting their oil change also worried about the overall maintenance and functionality of their car? Absolutely. So the shop throws in a 47-point checklist that they run while the oil is being changed to let the car owners know that the rest of their car is in working order. This gives them peace of mind. Finally, ask yourself, what does your offboarding look like? Do clients leave feeling equipped and celebrated, or does the relationship just end, leaving them unsure of what the next steps are? Going back to the oil change example, putting in the sticker in the car with the mileage and reminders about coming back before maybe the mileage is even hit and they earn some sort of perk, you've already begun the process of the customer thinking about next time. So how can you produce the same thought process for your customers? Now, there's a book called $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. There's this one concept that I find is really worth mentioning. The idea that your offer should feel like such an obvious yes that the price feels like a bargain. And the way you get there is by thinking beyond the service itself and thinking about the entire experience you're creating. It's probably not something that your competitors are delivering, but it is something that your clients are willing to pay a premium for. Now, for us at Audaciously, it looks like offering value in thinking about things that a lot of business owners don't even know to think about when they're building a website. Things like legal policies on their website to protect them against being sued, and even initiating the process of getting their website crawled so that their website gets indexed, picked up by search engines as quickly as possible after launching, so their customers can begin finding them. We even include a PDF guide that we call the Website Owner's Manual that covers the basics of the website and answers commonly asked questions so that we're preemptively providing information before the questions even come up. So this is the part of the conversation that I think is the most underrated and that gets the marketing nerd inside of me most excited. And it's called positioning. Positioning is not about being better than your competition. It's about being in a completely different category than your competition. You don't want to be the cheapest option in your category. You want to be so clearly positioned that price comparison doesn't even make sense. And here's how you do it. It really comes down to two things. The first, be crystal clear on who you are for. The more specific about who you serve, the more valuable you become to that specific person. For a lot of business owners, it may bring up a little bit of panic in the pit of their stomach when they think about repelling people from their business. Repelling the wrong people from your business will A, save you time, weeding out unqualified leads. B, it will increase your close rate in your sales meetings. C, it will allow you to charge what you're worth. D, It will help you produce better results for the customers that you do serve because they're the right kind of customers. Now, the second thing is to own your own category. Russell Brunson, the founder of ClickFunnels, talks about this idea. When he first started ClickFunnels, he couldn't compete in the crowded website builder space. He repositioned it as a funnel builder. And by owning that category, he didn't have to compete. He just had to lead. So what category could you own? What makes you the obvious choice in that space? That is your positioning. And when you get it right, price becomes a much smaller part of the conversation. So we've talked about the what, now let's talk about the how. Because you can have the best offer and the clearest positioning in the world, but if you can't communicate it, none of this matters. Here are a few practical shifts that you can make right now. Lead with their pain, not your process. Before you ever talk about what you do, make sure you're speaking to what they're struggling with. People see the value when they feel understood. An opening line that names their problem so specifically that they think, how did they know? Then listen, reflect it back, and show them how you solved for someone like them. And on your website, have a section specifically for the people that you help so that you can talk to those specific things they're dealing with. Now, if you're not established enough to have examples of success yet, this would be one of the few times where I think it's worthwhile to offer free or discounted work in order to have a few case studies or testimonials to showcase your work with. Next, I want you to use specific language, not vague claims. I get results means nothing. That's not going to resonate with anyone. But my clients typically see X happen within Y time frame. That means something. Being specific builds credibility everywhere it lives. Vague language creates doubt, and it leaves your prospect feeling unsure. That same specificity should live on your landing page, in your proposals, and on the captions of your content. Next, I want you to talk about the experience, not just the outcome. Yes, they want the result, but they also want to know what it feels like to work with you. Are you easy to communicate? Do you take things off their plate or add to them? Do they feel supported throughout the process? These things matter, and they're worth talking about everywhere. Now, honestly, for us, I find that just by being upfront and transparent about the time investment required, I'm able to increase buy-in with prospects. On the back end, we have done everything we possibly can to minimize the time investment required. But just by addressing it up front and transparently, when so many other agencies just don't address it, it really makes an impression. And finally, stop apologizing for your price. This applies in every context. The way you present your price, whether it's on a pricing page, in a proposal, or out loud in a sales conversation. Communicate your confidence in your own value. State your price clearly, confidently, and without apology. Trust the value you've built in the conversation, on the page, and every piece of content you fed to them. Here's what I want you to take away from this. You do not have to be the cheapest to win clients. You have to be the clearest. Clear about who you serve and what they need from you. Clear about why working with you is a different experience than working with anyone else. When you get that clarity, the right clients stop questioning your price because they see the value. Start owning your category and start talking about your services in a way that make people feel something. If this resonates with you, hit that subscribe button because this is the exact kind of strategy first marketing content that I share here every week. And if you're a service business owner who's ready to stop guessing and start building marketing that actually works, I'll leave a link below so you can learn more about how we can work together. I'll see you in the next one.